Good day. Welcome to Hunny Walia shows. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. In our show, we not only talk about politics, we talk about the current issues which the community is facing. We bring the expertise, we bring the different people who talk about and give us their opinion with their backing with their knowledge, with their experience and their education. Today we have our young politician who's just 18 years old, second year student of political science at the University of Alberta, and he is running to be our city councillor from the city zone ward called Papastua. Welcome, Harun.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And before Harun, I go further, I know you have some experience and you will be talking more about that. Harun also has participated in federal politics as he supported when Amarjeet Sohi was running for the election a few years back. He participated there. He have experience there in the federal politics and in federal issues. Then he participated with Thomas Dang and Christina Gray in provincial. So Harun, my first question to you, from federal to provincial to municipal, what a journey. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I actually got involved in politics back in 2019, honestly in February. February 2019, I got involved with the NDP, helping them out there with their re-election campaign. I had the opportunity to work alongside Thomas Dang, and I actually started working out with Christina Gray, helping out Edmonton Millwood, talking to people, talking to constituents, door knocking, helping out however I can. And then I had the opportunity to help out Thomas Dang in Edmonton Southwest, who I also helped out flyer dropping, helped out phone banking. I helped out with really ensuring that we had a good get out to vote strategy. I helped out in that aspect. I also worked alongside what's called Amarjeet Sohi afterwards I really started there in August. I was a part of Amarjeet Sohi's youth council, and then I started to help on his campaign as well. I helped out with door knocking, helped out with really anything he needed. I was there to help out with. He used all three of them, Thomas Dang, Christina Gray, and Amarjeet Sohi. They're really big inspirations for me. Thomas, especially, he was elected to the legislature at 19, so he's another big inspiration for me, showing that youth can do something. Amarjeet Sohi I'm just saying he really shaped my political views. He really helped out in that area. And yeah, I'm excited to run for city council now. I've been involved in Edmonton's youth council for a little bit here and there. And yeah, that's what really that's my experience in politics.
Fantastic, Harun. I'm really excited. I think not you, I am excited to talking to you and sharing your experience, because I remember when I was at your age, I was thinking about my more concentration on what I will be. I never thought about the politics. I never, more our education and your future, like settling and everything, what job. How did you decided to be a politician? What inspired, what's the reason behind it?
I wouldn't consider myself a politician. I would consider myself an activist. Something that really inspired me to run for city council was that I saw there's a lot of issues in our city. As we become a city of 2 million people, we have to address a lot of the inequities that are in our city. We have to address homelessness. We have to address housing. We have to address transit. We have to address police reform. There are so many things that we as a city have to address. I felt like no one was addressing it. So I was like, okay. I woke up one morning, I was like, I have to address it. I got to do something, because I want to have a city where everyone feels safe. I want to have a city where everyone feels loved, and I want to have a city that we can be better.
Thank you, Harun. I agree with you. When we have a city, we have every city, every government, every organization have some issues. Talking about, we know the issues we know they exist, but then how to deal with them and how to basically bring a reform or a conclusion, or how to change the system. It's not just an easy task. You need a financial support, you need a political support, social, economical. It all work together, right? Because we have to find a reason before we find a solution. So you have raised a fantastic point, like housing, racism, ETS, police reforms. So we will talk one by one on each, right?
Yeah.
So before we go that, and before we even talk about the reforms, because you cannot reform anything or you cannot implement anything, because for implementing the money needs the money, right?
Yeah.
The finances, without money we can talk, but nothing will happen. With the deficit on and the pandemic and the taxes not being raised, how you will be like, what's your plan to handle the budget and the reforms and the taxation?
Yeah, of course. So my beliefs is that what's called Edmonton, we have to make we have some tough decisions. The next city council is going to be responsible for managing one of the largest deficits that Edmonton have ever seen. Already, 10% of Edmonton's municipal budget of over $3.21 billion is actually spent paying debt that other city councils in what's called took on. That includes some capital projects like the West LRT, like past LRT projects, like past infrastructure projects. So as the city council comes on, we're going to be dealing with a much larger deficit, and that's something that we have to recognize as a city council. I hope to work alongside city administration and other city councils to find efficiencies within our budget to ensure that Edmontonians are able to get the best return of investment on their property taxes. I also want to do a massive overhaul of the budget, which would seek to root out duplications of our efforts and wasteful spending. This would allow us to take this money and put it back into communities, and it would allow us to really value these communities. And the idea behind putting money back into communities is that the best way to use what's called extra money is not to return it back to taxpayers. It's actually return it to the people. It's return it to social investments, social programs. Transit is one of those things I really want to invest in. I want to invest what's called the $80 million, and I actually want to deliver fair free transit. I want to make sure transit is an option for everyone. I think transit, everyone deserves mobility, and that's how I really plan to deal with deficit, is ensuring that we are efficiently using every single public dollar, whether it's $1, whether it's 5 cents. We will use it as efficient as possible.
You know, Harun, I have to say one thing. You're not talking like a politician, you're talking about like a businessman or accountant. Like, it's, I think it's as a citizen, or, as a part living, not a Canadian, I should not be, I'm rewording as an Edmontonian, because when we are thinking about where we are living, how we are paying as a, as a human, we just don't start spending the money. We have to be accountable. You brought the point, or a issue where accountability has to be. How it's not just spending, how we are spending and where we are spending. That's a good thing, and I really, salute you for that. At this age, even thinking about it, not just budgeting, but accountability where the money is going to be spent and how will be spent it, right?
Yes.
And
Fun fact.
and
Fun fact about me, actually. I have a budget. I have the city budget on my desk, and I actually been reading through and I've been looking at it. And the reason why I keep mentioning duplication is that a lot of our efforts are duplicated. So we want to spend the best. We want to get rid of those duplications, and we want to make sure we're spending the right money to the right people, and we need to know why we're spending that money. That's something I'm committed to doing. On city council, I'm committed to being as accountable as possible, ensuring that everyone sees where the money is going, because your property taxes is your money. It's your investment in this city, so you deserve to see where your investment is going and how we're spending it. And that's something I'm 100% committed to throughout my council term, is that I'm committed to transparency, I'm committed to accountability, and I'm committed to engaging with folks like you. I'm committed to that. I want to engage. I want to have conversations with you. I want to have conversations with constituents. I want to have conversations with Edmontonians. And that's what I'm really committed to, accountability and transparency.
no, that's good. One thing, and any organization, if we have accountability, transparency, and a communication. When I say communication, not just communication, clear, consistent communication, because now you are not changing, every time you don't, because it creates a confusion, it creates a duplication, and it costs money. And Harun, I have another question for you now. Before, I have lost love to, like, I'm really enjoying, and I'm looking forward to talk to you more. But then to stay on the topic, currently we are also, there's a short topic like the racism, you have discrimination, racism, discrimination. They are part of each other, but they are separate, because racism could be based on religion, discrimination could be based on sexual orientation, could be based on your thoughts. It's so much they are attached, but they are separate. How you think we can handle it?
Yeah, I think racism is an issue that's clearly apparent in our city. We've seen racist attacks throughout. Most of us know since mid-December we've seen attacks against Muslim women. We've seen attacks against what's called Asian Canadians, and that's something that's deeply problematic. We need to call whenever we see racism, we need to call it out in all forms possible, and we need to ensure that everyone in our city feels safe. If I'm elected to city council, what I want to work with, I want to work alongside the Anti-Racism Advisory Council, and I want to see ways that we as a city can actually make sure everyone feels safe. And something I've said throughout this campaign is I don't always have the answers, but I am committed to listening and learning. So if anyone feels like there's a solution to how the city of Edmonton can better handle racism in our city, I am more than happy to have that discussion, because I think the best way for us to do it right now is that we need to have ideas. We need to have conversations, because we want people to feel safe on transit. We want people to feel safe walking in their neighborhoods, and that's something that I want to work along. I want to work alongside the Anti-Racism Advisory to really ensure that happens. I also want to work alongside my fellow city councilors and city administration to identify ways that we as a city, can actually maybe potentially have better protection available for students on the transit, and we have better protection available for seniors and everyone on transit.
Harun, you got my attention second time now. First, you talked about the accountability, and I think it needs a courage to say, I don't have an answer for everything, and I'm ready to learn. Not as a young politician or a student, but even at my age, also, I'm a safety professional. I don't know when I go to the site, I tell them, I don't have an answer for everything, but we are working as a team to find a right solution. Because one person cannot do, but when we work as a team, we have a better solution. Really kudos to you. At this age, you have realized two most important things in life: accountability and admitting I don't have the answer in a good way. Like, I don't have an answer, but I'm ready to learn and I'm ready to work as in a team. Hats
Yep,
off to you, boss.
appreciate
Um,
it.
the second thing, when we talk about, the issues, when we are talking about, when you talk about protection, right? Protecting everyone in the city, young, old, vulnerables, everyone. We are not separating anyone. Everyone needs a protection. Everyone needs a safe area to live and move around. Recently, we are talking about the police reform movements, carding, and policing it's funded by provincial and federal, but it also comes under municipal.
Mhm.
What you have to say on that?
Yeah, so when it comes to police spending, actually, Edmonton Police Service is actually managed by Edmonton City Council. We have the ability to dictate their budget, and we actually, we basically hand them their budget. Edmonton's Police Commission is responsible for overseeing Edmonton's police and ensuring that they're effectively using public dollars and ensuring that they're accountable to someone. My thoughts on police. My thoughts on police is that police intervention should always be the last resort. It should be necessary when all else fails and an incident is about to occur. People aren't inherently wrong. People turn to crime when they have no other option after being made to feel disposable and without value by our society. There's also different other motivators of crime, but most of them it comes from social issues and poverty, and that we and by creating a more socially inclusive and supportive city, we can create an Edmonton that makes a space for everyone, regardless of skin color, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of age. We want to make our city inclusive and supportive of everyone, no matter if they're down on the luck or suffering from unforeseen circumstances. If we support people at their most vulnerable and let them know that they're valued and loved members of our community, we can keep them from resorting to desperate measures like crime. We need substantial police reform to ensure that our society is just and that our police are working in the best the public's best interest. On city council, I will advocate for divestment in policing, reducing the number of unmarked vehicles, and will champion police accountability and transparency. Because every Edmontonian should expect the same thing from the city council, just like the police. They should be expecting transparency. They should be accepting what's called the accountability, and they should be expecting a police service and a city council that is willing to listen to the community and is willing to actually understand the concerns of the community. On the topic of carding, I believe that it needs to end. I hope to work along to the province to ensure that everyone, regardless of skin color, feels safe and protected in our city. However, unfortunately, we actually don't have that power to stop carding in our city. As much as I would enjoy to stop it, we don't have that ability. And that's something I want to work along to the province to advocate for all Edmontonians on, saying that carding is not in our best interest.
No, I agree. So Harun, you are 100% correct when we talk about when we have a problem does not just exist. Problems has a reasons behind it. It could be a leading causes, could be immediate causes, and causes basically comes from economical, social status, the mental problem, mental health, what is going on and how much frustrated we are. As a human, we don't think about hurting anyone, but the situations because of personal issues, social issues, economical issues, things happen. And if we can handle those issues, we can handle the problem. Now we talk about, and the other thing is a hot topic, and I think the politicians, even in the city council in last few years have been divided. It's a back and forth. Business community is talking about, residentials are talking about, the sports services like EPS and fire department is talking about the bike lanes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So with bike lanes and ETS, something that we have to realize is that bike lanes, people use bike lanes what's called around the year. Bike lanes are not just used in the summertime. There are people that bike in the wintertime. I know it might sound as a crazy idea, but I was a little surprised when I found out. But a lot of people bike in the wintertime. They bike around the year, and it's something that people like. People like to do it, and I think we have to recognize that we have to have different options for people. Everyone deserves Basically, the idea behind multimodal transit is that ETS is not a good first and last mile option. So if you actually embrace multimodal transit includes bikes, they include scooters, they include, Ubers, they basically include anything that can get people the last mile. So if we embrace those types of things in communities, we can actually ensure that everyone can use transit. Because what we have to recognize too is that as a city, we can't have 2 million people, we can't have 2 million people riding in their own personal vehicles. It just doesn't work. So that's something I'm committed to, is ensuring that we actually have a good transit system. Everyone deserves to feel safe on transit. I have accessible and have an affordable transit. Transit is an integral part of every community. As we had a city, of 2 million people, we need to lay the foundations for the best possible transit system. As we inch closer to increasing Edmonton, we have to recognize that our society is changing, and we need to get more people out of their vehicles and on board public transit. By investing in Edmonton's transit system, we'll be investing in our future. We need to ensure that neighborhoods across Edmonton are well connected. We can achieve this by integrating transit centers with amenities such as local shopping areas and parks. As we become a city with over 2 million people, we need to ensure that we invest in proper transit systems that can support more people. On to the council, I advocate for a fair, free transit plan for all by 2025, accessible transit, and increased reliability for our transit system. And by fair, free transit, what I mean is essentially, there won't be any monthly bus passes. There won't be any, you won't have to pay when you hop onto the bus. It would be free, and people would be able to access it whenever they need.
Harun, it's, this discussion has been on for a long time. When we say free, nothing is free. As a student, as a politician, when we talk about the accountability too, right? Nothing is free. Someone has to pay the bills. Like, we have to maintain the system. We have to improve the system. We have to pay the drivers. We have to pay the operators. Everything needs to be paid. So when you say free, can you elaborate like how you will be meeting the expenses then?
Yeah, of course. So to make transit is actually really heavily subsidized by the city already. I think it's what's called transit subsidized about, I believe, last time I checked it was about $120 million. I may be wrong on that. What's called, don't quote me on that, but it's about $120 million. So the average, we actually as citizens we pay about $80 million into transit. So as I mentioned earlier, what I really want to do is I want to cut out the duplication of our efforts. What I want to do is I want to spend that duplication of our efforts and I actually want to invest it in transit. And the idea behind investing in transit is that we have to. We can become we can actually, what the goal here for me personally is I want to position Edmonton to become the best possible city in Canada. I want to create a model for other cities to follow. And with the idea behind fair free transit is that eventually other cities across the United States are moving towards this idea. Boston, Massachusetts, a lot of these cities, small cities, are moving to these ideas. And I think it's a time for a large city like Edmonton to actually follow in their footsteps. I think even Kansas has delivered, even Calgary has a what's called a Fair Free program in the core of Edmonton, in the core of their downtown. So I think it's really important for Edmonton to adopt a system similar to that, but on a much larger scale. It's $80 million. It's a lofty investment, but it's an investment in our future. It's an investment in our children. It's an investment in our seniors. It's an investment in everyone. Because imagine if you have the ability one day to actually be like, oh, okay, my car's not starting. I can walk a block, hop onto transit, I can get to work. You know what I mean? That's what we want to cut out that middleman where people have to pay that fare. There's a fare issue like that. And actually, a fun fact for you actually is that 40% of transit, 40% of altercations on transit stem from fares. So by eliminating transit, we'll be actually making it safer for drivers and passengers.
That's good. I just wanted to so everyone is aware of it, where the thoughts are coming from and how you will be supporting. So that's the whole causes. And when we talk about the other reason we talk about when we talk about the problems, right, or the violence or the crime, is social political issues, economical issues, and lack of housing. Because when you don't have it, then you're basically, the basic necessities are not getting fulfilled. What your thoughts are on the housing? Because this has been going on, like, politicians are talking about 10-year plan, 15-year plan. It did not work till now. What your thoughts are on that?
I completely agree with you. The 10-year housing plan did fail. It was a bold initiative, but it did fail. And we have to recognize as a city that we did make a mistake. We didn't get the best return of investment as possible. And I believe that Edmonton has a housing crisis that COVID-19 has made significantly worse. We need to ensure that our city is affordable for everyone to live in, and that we aren't making neighborhoods exclusively for the rich. We need to invest in proper housing for all of us, and that starts with ensuring that affordable housing and ensuring that infill development is affordable and fits well in our neighborhoods. We need to ensure that we're getting people off the streets and into housing and looking at ways to prevent people from a situation where they don't have adequate housing. Edmonton has been facing a housing crisis, and we need a city council that'll have strong focus on ending homelessness in our city. On council, I'll advocate for more shelter space. I'll advocate for an affordable housing strategy. I'll advocate for changing the loitering bylaw and supporting home shelters across the city. And I'll also advocate for the end of criminalization of poverty in our city, because everyone deserves no one deserves to go to jail. No one deserves to be arrested for being poor. And I think that's something we have to recognize as a city, and that's something we can work towards. And that's something I hope to work along with my fellow city councilors, city administration, and the mayor, is that we need to address these issues in the city. We need to come up with a strong plan, and we can't keep saying 10, 15 years down the road when it won't hurt any of us. You know what I mean? We actually have to get something done now, because there's so many people that need the support. So that's something I really hope to work towards with City Council.
Now, watching Hunny Walia shows, we have HaruunAli with us. He's a young politician, 18 years old only, and student of political science at University of Alberta, second year. He has experience. He has experience in federal as well provincial politics. He has helped the member of parliaments, MLAs in Alberta, to run their election and supported them. Harun, in the end, what message would you like to give to our viewers?
Yeah, the one message I want to give to our viewers, and it's very clear and simple, is that this next council will have 6 brand new seats, a brand new mayor, Now is the time for communities to come together and to demand change from our politicians. We're going to be having a brand new city councilor in Ward Cairo. We're going to be having a brand new city councilor in I forgot the ward name. So we're going to be having a lot. And the heads up too. Actually, they changed a lot of the ward names too now. So this ward's actually called Ward Papasteo, and it's basically from White Ave. It's basically from the River Valley area all the way to Century Park, and it includes what's called. It goes along Calgary Trail. So that's Ward Papasteo for a quick familiarization. But this election, stay involved, get involved, and please, please vote. 30%, what's called a 30% voting average is not good enough for our city. We need everyone involved in it, especially homeowners, especially renters. Anyone needs to get involved. If you're over the age of 18 and you can vote in our city, please vote. That is the one message I have. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're watching Hunny Walia show. As Haroon mentioned, like we always talk about the problems, but we do not participate. I really encourage all the viewers to please do your homework. Please go to each and every candidate and see what their platform is and how they can support you, and give your vote with the thoughts, with the proper homework done, and the knowledge. If you do not have answers of the questions you have, please contact your candidate. We talk to and ask them the question what their thoughts are. But if we do not vote, we do not come forward and be part of our right or obligation to vote, we are not going to have a change. And for change, we need a participation, we need a commitment. You are watching Hunny Walia shows. In the end, I would like to request everyone, please wear a mask all the time for everyone's safety and your safety. And if you are eligible, please go and get the vaccination. Till we meet again, I'm your host, Sunil Fool. Have a good day. Safe day.